I've got low oil pressure. Nope, I'm not moving the car on low oil pressure. Alright, what's going on? Welcome back. So, as you would have seen just before the intro, we went testing last week. And unfortunately, we've had a pretty decent engine failure. So it looks like something's happened in the motor. We've knocked out kind of 3 rod bearings, bit of damage to the rods, to the crank, all the usual stuff you do. I didn't film a whole lot kind of disassembling it. I was in a bit of probably disbelief. But once we did disassemble it, it kind of worked out that unfortunately the failure, look, I don't know. The failure obviously started. The failure was probably made worse by myself. Unfortunately, the way that I've always had this car set up, I'll find it here for you, is that the oil pump feeds into the oil filter, and then obviously the filter feeds into the engine. Now, what I've done is at the moment, this is our oil feed, our oil pressure sensor, our filter, our engine. What has happened is something's made a bit of metal in the motor. Not unusual to make a bit of metal. Apparently, with the new dry sump pump, the pumps can make a bit of metal as they bed in. But with me having the sensor where I did, it's obviously made a bit of metal. It's blocked the filter. And we have wound up with a filter that's actually filled up and crushed itself in. And then we wound up with a whole heap of juicy rods. So we've got all this kind of metal all through the bottom of the motor. Don't know if you guys can see it there, but yeah. So motor, or the crank rods, all that are back down to Sam. So he's going to linish the crank, have a look at it, see what's kind of salvageable, make sure we haven't cracked the crank. But in the meantime, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to do something a bit different, something I never thought I'd actually do. When this all happened, I had a good mate of mine reach out, and we've been trying to build him a sports sedan for a couple of years now, but just time and money and resources and all that struggle. But I did get this built for him a while back. So the Skyline is going V8. So we're going to be putting this motor, which is a L98 6 litre. It's all been built by Sam from Milton's as well. So rods, crank, everything, pistons, all done. CNC ported heads, cam, valve train, everything's done. Basically the sports sedan regs. We just kind of said to Sam, go for it back in the day. So with the RB out of action, this kind of got thrown into the mix, and I thought, well, you know what? Why not? Let's give it a go. So at the moment, I've already ordered bell housing adapter from Samsonus. So Jason from Samsonus has been awesome. Called him up, found out what we needed, ordered the adapter, input shaft and all that. So that's all coming. Next kind of step is working out intake manifolds. So at the moment, it's looking like we're going to go a nice set of ITBs. So there's a bit of work to go into getting these on, but nice ITBs. So they should work quite well, but at the moment we don't have injectors for it. Fuel rails don't fit, all of that kind of jazz. So we've got a bit of work to do to make all that fit, but we'll get there. This motor is also dry sumped, so that's nice because the pump that I had on the RB will bolt up. All my hoses are actually fairly close to the right positioning. But yeah, so the R34 is now going V8. What I'll do is, I did take some kind of pictures and videos as I was chatting to Doug and Sam and some of the Sports Sedan guys, so I might chuck up some of the videos and a few photos of what we found when we're pulling the motor apart. Kind of probably a bit hard to see at the moment, but let me grab a torch. The sump is actually still here, full of debris. So that's the girdle. You can kind of see it's like metallic-y stuff all over it, but what the ultimate failure was, obviously no oil pressure, but there was no oil pressure because all the scavenge lines were blocked up. So when I got home and went to drain the tank, there was actually no oil in the tank. Pulled one of the lines off from the sump, and yeah, there was about 15 litres of oil sitting in the engine. So what had happened was it had been getting oil. We don't know what kind of pressure, because with the sensor where I had it, I wasn't actually getting an engine oil pressure. I was getting a feed in, and there could be 20 PSI pressure drop across that filter. So while I'm saying 90 and thinking that everything was all good, I've hurt the motor. So that's on me. The RB is going to get machined up. We'll get it back running. As long as as long as the crank isn't toast, I will get that motor back up and running. It may end up back in this car one day. At the moment, it's been, I don't want to say unreliable, but there's just been a lot of teething issues with it, with me and learning and all of that. When I kind of spoke with Sam about the RB and the LS, he obviously knew this LS building it. He knew the RB because he built it. I said to him, if I've got both on the table, what would you pick? And he just said any day of the week you'd put the LS into it, just for the sake of time lapse. You're just going to get it out of this, whereas the RB makes heat, is what it is. It's always had, not cooling issues, but it's always had high engine bay temps, and you've got to heat shield turbos and manifolds to the nth degree. And I'm just a bit worn out with it at the moment. So I think if I put the LS in, I'm going to try and do it in a fairly kind of as smart a way as possible. So we've still got like the bell housing, adapter, input shaft, tilting, strut, bearing and all that. The RB will actually be able to get bolted back in. I'm not going to change anything to the point where it can't. The other big part's going to be the wiring loom. So at the moment, obviously this loom's set up for the RB. What I'm actually tempted to do is cut through here I do have like a large motorsport connector for that was meant to go in but just hasn't. So I might end up wiring that in, and then we might just have two front sections of loom. So injector 7 and 8 and ignition 7 and 8 I've never actually used. I haven't assigned them to anything, so they aren't actually being used in the loom. So if I do change just this front half, I'll have to run 4 wires back from the ECU because they aren't in there. I took them out when we ran this loom. But once I take them, well, once I put them back into this loom and run it with it, there's no real reason why we couldn't have the connector with the RB loom and a connector with the LS loom, and then we can just connect one up with that motor. I know it won't be that simple, but other things like this front end will probably stay like this. I will obviously remake that for the LS. I've already got one for Jeff's car, for his Sylvia. So we're going to kind of, he's kind of said that we can use a lot of his parts. So I think we're just going to kind of grab a lot of his cool bits. The nice part about building that car with him, when we were building it, was it always asked, what would you put in? So we always got the best of the best bits for his. So now we're going to start chucking them in mine. And then Jeff's actually going to also race this car. So I don't think he's as interested in doing the race stuff as I am, but we're definitely going to get him out and do a few test days for how much he's helped me out. So anyway, next step for this is going to be, I've got to get the bell housing adapter so I can bolt it all up, so I can bolt the engine in. At the moment, I've just been playing around. So I've had to cut a bit more of the firewall out for clearance for coils and all of that. So there will be more to get cut out through there. That's fine. I've got no issues with cutting that out. It's just extra room. The part that I was interested in was seeing how the ITBs are going to fit up with our kind of clearance up here. So I'm not too sure if I want to bring that up and across and then down and just like level all that out and just get rid of a lot of it. I don't feel like there's kind of any real structure there that I need to keep. So we might end up just doing that, get rid of all that, tidy it all up. But yeah, so anyway, we'll kick on. Next step will be pulling the motor out, getting the adapters on and all that. So stick with us. All right, so it's getting a bit hectic in here. I've actually finally just picked up my mill. I've got my lathe here as well. So it's getting pretty chockers in here at the moment. I definitely need to go through and kind of organise everything and work out what's going on and where I kind of want everything to live. Got a bit of a plan for where that mower is. It's probably where the mill is going to go. Nose cone will probably go away somewhere else, but anyway, we'll get to that. For now, Jason from Sansonis has come through with the goods. Called him up on Thursday. So this is the Samsonis to T56 bell housing adapter. So we've got the adapter there. So this is the input shaft for Samsonis. This end goes to the GM there. He's also sent us the adapter. So this adapter normally, I think it goes on the other side, but normally this would take the stock GM throw-up bearing, whereas I want to run the Tilton, so he sent that, which sockets in nicely, and that'll work beautifully. So happy days. So I'll have to take off the adapter that's on here. So that's the Tilton adapter for this, which sets your depth. We'll take off this, which is the adapter plate, which takes the RB bell housing. So bring the car up a bit, we'll take that off, we'll change them over, and that means then I'll actually finally be able to get the motor bolted to the gearbox. I can start working out my height. At the moment I've just had it kind of sitting on the rack, but I'll be able to shim that, work out my angle of the diff pinion, work out the angle of the back of the gearbox, get that all sorted. So yeah, probably the biggest thing is going to be that all this here ends up fouling on the coils and plug leads. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm actually just going to cut this all out, all the way back. There's like a bit of a ridge here, so I'll chase that ridge, and with that then I'll kind of do what I've done here and just plate it up so it's just smooth. Change this steering shaft over, so that's stock Nissan with like a cushioned joint. I had a bit of a look because we're running the Prius or Yaris steering column. I can get a Borgeson steering adapter to a double D unit, so we'll run that. We're just going to change the steering because I haven't been overly happy with it since we've put the electric power steering in, and I think a lot of it is my fault. There seems to be a common theme here at the moment, actually. But anyway, so yeah, it was funny. I've just been editing up last week's video, and in it I said, oh, I want to do the exhaust manifold, but I don't want to make any big changes. I want to do little projects. So yeah, I have a feeling, yeah, oh well, whatever, big project, make a swing, change the LS, hopefully we'll get a bit of reliability and have a bit of fun racing. So anyway, enough chatting. We'll take that adapter off, get the new one on, and then we'll start getting the gearbox in. So I'll throw you guys all on a time lapse. Alright, so RB adapter is off. One nuisance looks like it's going to be, this is kind of sitting level in the car, that's sitting level, so that was actually the orientation that our throw-up bearing was, which meant that our two clutch lines came out here, which was good because I had everything plumbed up. This is the top of the bell housing, so as it's going to be sitting in the car, but because it's only got two holes in it, I've only got two options, one in that way, which will, I'm going to grab the throw-up bearing because I think that's going to end up putting my lines upside down. So these tilt and throw-up bearings are nice, but are kind of locked into what we can do. That might work still. So now our feed in and bleed's going to be there, whereas before, yeah, it's not too much of a drama, I don't think. That's kind of where it was before, which was fairly horizontal. Now it's just going to be around a bit further. It's not quite as bad as I thought it was going to be. So what I'll end up doing is we'll have to go through and machine the height of this down. They come fairly long. I presume that's just because it depends on what clutches you put behind it. So if you put like a single disc on, you probably want it to be fairly long. We'll be running a twin disc on this with the LS, so we'll just have to kind of measure the basket and all that. For now, I'm not going to worry about putting that in, just because I'm going to need to throw it in the lathe, machine it up. Now I can do that, but without that in there, it's not going to be an issue for making engine mounts and starting to mock things up. So what I'll do is I'll chuck this adapter plate on. Samsung will send you all the nuts and bolts that you need, which is super handy because I'm not that organised. So I'll throw that on, then I'll probably bring the car back down. we'll get the engine in and bolt the bell housing to the adapter, and yeah, should be go time. Let's go, have fun.
Living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. Life up in the fast lane, fast lane. And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane. Pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground. Living life up in the fast lane. Life, though you limits, you just put them in Coronas, Coronas, Coronas. I've been working, I need that advance with the bonus, the bonus, the bonus. Ain't no thoughts about tomorrow, I'm just living in the moment, the moment, the moment. Full tank of gas and 200 on the dash, bitch, I'm zoning, I'm zoning, I'm zoning. Fast lane, living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. Life up in the fast lane, fast lane. And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane. Pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground. Living life up in the fast lane. Living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. Life up in the fast lane, fast lane. And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane. Pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground. Living life up in the fast lane. Losing track of time, but it's always on my side. Hit the still to feel the vibe. On my mama, I'm so live. Popping bottles around 9, and them ladies about to slide. Hey, I'm just living life. I'm just living life. Hey, rolling, don't know if I'm coming or I'm going. Home for the summer in Miami when it's snowing. Might just end up in your city, baby, you won't even know it. Might just find out from the ground while I'm posing with some grands. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. Life up in the fast lane, fast lane. And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane. Pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground. Living life up in the fast lane.
Well, that's a win. We have the engine in. So what I want to do now, see if I'm going to be able to get it. Really want to know what the pinion flange angle is of the diff. But there's no easy way to get it without taking the tail shaft out. It does look like it's saying about 89 degrees. So it's about 1 degree up at the moment, which means that I want the engine to be about 1 degree down. It's fairly close there already, so that may be a bit of an issue because I do need to. At the moment, we've just got the sump sitting on the rack. That's not the worst thing in the world. Like, everything on this is going to be solid mounted. Turn that off. The engine, I'm kind of undecided if I try and use the engine mounts like the RB did. This one I'm not going to be able to anyway because the dry sump pump's going to be right in the way. yeah, this one here I'm not going to be able to use because the dry sump pump's going to hang right there. So I think we're going to go with my original thought, and I'm going to build some mounts that basically end up coming down and picking up the chassis rail. So just motor plate it. I'll might jump on the computer tonight and have a look, see what I can find motor plate wise off the shelf, see if there's anything I can get, or just get some ideas, because I need it to be fairly low, at kind of almost for what I want. I'm going to need something that nearly comes to the bottom of the block. But might get the trans jack out, we'll lower the car down and we'll just see how it all looks. Feeling pretty good about positioning. I was a bit anxious about where it was going to end up sitting forwards and back. I thought it was actually going to sit back a bit further than it looks like it is. So that's going to be a bit of a win. Let's lower it down and have a look. It's all bolted together for a change. All right, back in a minute. All right, that's pretty cool. So, engine in position. ITBs are just sitting there. They are fouling up here. So what I may end up doing is I might end up kind of coming to where, probably about, yeah, in line with the chassis rails. I might bring that all the way up. Same on this side. Bring that all the way up and then level it through here. That'll just give us heaps of extra room. I am interested, right where that's sitting there, I could easily do all valve train on this side. I'd need to get the tape measure out to see if the crank's in the center line, but I don't think it'd be too far off, to be honest. I've got good room on, I don't know, number 7 or 8, whatever side that is, I'm not too sure. I have no idea about V8s. My dad is very disappointed in that. He loves his V8s, but I've got no idea, so I'm learning. Anyway, we've got clearance, starter motor, steering rack. I'm pretty keen to see if I end up kind of sectioning this out through here like I want to, we might have heaps of room for headers. And I might be able to just get some off-the-shelf headers, which is going to massively speed this project up. So that's kind of going to be my next goal, is see what I can do headers-wise. ITBs aren't concerning me too much. They shouldn't be too much of a drama. I do have to work out the fuel rail. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. It's pretty much, yeah. Now it's just going to be engine mounts for the front of the engine. So I think that's going to be it for tonight. It's cold. I'm going to go inside. Kiara's got the fire cranking, so I'm going to go inside and enjoy that. And yeah, I think I'll be back out tomorrow night. Cheers. All right, everyone. Well, I reckon I'm going to wrap up this week here. We've got engine in, bolted to the gearbox. Firewall, I've just started kind of butchering some room for the motor to go in, and potential header placement. I've got the engine mounts from the Sylvia that I made for Jeff back a couple of years back. They look to be pretty good. I've got to play around with the angle of the engine in relation to the diff, just to make sure that we've got the correct kind of angles for the drive line. That will just involve either raising or lowering, most likely lowering these engine mounts, which is fine because between the sump and the steering rack we've got about 15 mil, so I reckon we should be good to lower it down as pretty much as low as we can go. We should be sweet. Dry sump pump, I've got that just kind of mocked up. I'm going to see if we can run with the same hoses that we had on the RB. If not, we'll get some new ones made up. Obviously the ones that came along here, they normally went to the RB, which is about there. So with this motor being a bit further back, I'll get new lines of these made up. and they can just go in a box. So being that I'm not kind of 100% if I'm going to stick with the LS indefinitely, I'm just kind of boxing everything up. So all the RB gear will just all get boxed up. There's nothing that's getting changed that that is going to impact the RB going back in. So firewall's getting made a bit wider on the driver's side. There's just more room when the RB goes back in one day. I will give it a bit more height because at the moment we can't get that bell mouth on the trumpet. So I'll probably end up just coming up here, cutting into the scuttle and dropping it down. Once again, that's not going to matter for the RB. It's just going to more clearance around it. Won't be the worst thing in the world. So yeah, we're getting there. We're ticking some goals off. I just need to tidy up this place because we've got a couple of projects coming in soon. So I've got Jimmy's Pulsar coming back. So that's coming back to be kind of a bit more work done. Dougie from Ample's nearly finished the CA. So that'll come here and then I'll be able to kind of crack on with some projects on that. We've also got a cool one, Wade Reynolds, one of the guys we race sports sedans with. He's got a old school Toyota 8086 that he wants to wide body. So he's done all the kind of work on forming everything, shaping everything, getting everything nice. So I get the fun, easy kind of job of making the molds and then pulling some carbon parts. So that's cool. One other thing I wouldn't have shown you guys is my mill and lathes turned up. So I'm just starting to get a feel for how I want this wall to kind of play out. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. So lathe and mill's been a big win. That means I can get on with another project for a bloke by the name of Sean, which was making the new Janetta knuckles suit an RB or suit a R chassis. So those knuckles there are from a Janetta G55 GT4 or GT3 car. So another project. There's heaps going on. Trying to keep up with it's just going to be chaotic. I do think that the 34 is probably going to just wind up with a car cover over it for a little while. Try and tick some of these other jobs off, and that way then I can have a bit of coin to put back into the Skyline again. So anyway, cheers for hanging around. We'll see you guys in a fortnight. Cheers, bye.